The moment the front door closed behind my sister, the house felt different. Too quiet. Not the peaceful kind of quiet. The kind that presses against your ears. I stood there holding my overnight bag, listening as the taxi disappeared down the street. My sister, Marianne, and her husband were officially gone 5 days on a much-needed anniversary trip somewhere sunny, somewhere expensive, and I was left behind to watch their daughter. I smiled and turned, ready to ask Ellie what she wanted to do first. Maybe we'd bake bread or work on a puzzle. Ellie loved puzzles, or so I thought. But Ellie wasn't tapping on her tablet. She wasn't reaching for her communication board. She was standing very still, staring straight at me. She was 9 years old, silent since she was 3, or so I had been told. Then she opened her mouth. "Aunt Ruth, please don't drink what Mom left for you." Her voice was soft, clear, perfectly formed, like it had been waiting. I felt my knees weaken. I heard them planning. She continued, whispering now. "She said you'd be sick." Sick enough not to stop her? The mug slipped from my hand and shattered on the kitchen tile. For 9 years, everyone believed Ellie couldn't speak. Doctors, teachers, family, me. And now she was warning me that my own sister had tried to poison me. Let me rewind a few hours because nothing about that day makes sense. Unless you understand who we were before, everything fell apart. My name is Ruth Calder. I'm 61 years old, retired from bookkeeping, widowed, and very ordinary. I live quietly. I balance my checkbook every Sunday. I believe family means safety. Marianne is my younger sister, charismatic, organized, the kind of woman neighbors admire. When Ellie stopped talking at age 3, Marianne told us it was a neurological issue. Nothing to be done, she said. We've accepted it. Who questions a mother? That morning, Marianne handed me a thermos before she left. "Chamomile and valerian," she said sweetly, "for your nerves." At the time, I thanked her, standing in that kitchen now, listening to Ellie breathe through fear. I realized something terrifying. The silence in that house hadn't been a disability. It had been a prison, and it was the one who built it. I didn't touch the thermos again. I slid it as far away from us as possible, like distance alone could make it harmless. My hands were shaking when I knelt in front of Ellie. "You can talk?" I asked, my voice barely working. She nodded once, careful, like she'd learned not to move too much. "I always could," she said. Mom told me not to. Those 6 words hit harder than any scream ever could. I guided her to the couch and wrapped a blanket around her shoulders. Even though it wasn't cold, she sat straight, feet tucked under her, like a child who'd learned to take up as little space as possible. She said my voice was dangerous. Ellie whispered that if I talked, you'd get hurt. My heart broke quietly, right there. Ellie told me it started when she was 3. She'd come downstairs one afternoon for juice and heard her parents arguing in the kitchen. She didn't understand everything, but she heard my name. "Aunt Ruth can't find out," her mother said. "Once she's gone, everything is ours." The next day, Ellie asked what gone meant. That was when Marianne grabbed her arms too tight. That was when the threats began. "If you ever speak about what you hear," Marianne told her, "something terrible will happen to your aunt. Do you love Aunt Ruth?" Ellie loved me. So she stopped talking. Not overnight, slowly, carefully, she practiced silence like a skill. Teachers praised her progress. Doctors labeled it selective mutism. Marianne cried in offices and told everyone she was heartbroken. No one questioned her. And the quieter Ellie became, the more invisible she was. She sat in rooms while adults talked freely. She watched her mother rehearse my signature on scrap paper. She listened to phone calls about money, lawyers, documents. Ellie didn't know all the words, but she understood danger. 2 nights before the anniversary trip, she overheard something new. "The tea won't kill her," Marianne said. Just keep her down for a few days. That's all I need. Ellie looked at me then, tears finally spilling. I was scared, she said, but I couldn't let her hurt you. That was when I understood. My sister didn't raise a mute child. She raised a witness, and that witness had finally decided to speak. I stood up, steadier now. Fear had burned away into something sharper. Ellie, I said gently, we're going to be okay, but we have to be very smart. She nodded. 5 years of silence had taught her exactly how to survive, and Marianne had no idea what was coming. Fear didn't help anymore. Evidence did. I told Ellie to stay close while I locked the front door. Then I did something I'd never done in my sister's house before. I went looking. Marianne loved order, labels, drawers that slid shut perfectly. The kind of woman who believed neatness could hide anything. Ellie led me to the spare bedroom Marianne's home office. There was a desk, a filing cabinet, and one drawer with a small keypad lock. I know the numbers, Ellie said quietly. She typed them without hesitation. The drawer opened. Inside was the life my sister thought she'd taken from me. First, bank forms, trust withdrawal authorizations, my name signed in my handwriting. Almost, the curves were wrong. Too practiced, like someone copying instead of writing. Second statements, small withdrawals over many months, always under the reporting limit. Nearly $200,000 missing. Third emails, printed, highlighted between Marianne and a lawyer in another state. They discussed transferring full control of our late parents. Trust due to my declining mental capacity. I laughed once. A dry, ugly sound. Mental capacity. I balanced finances for 40 years without a single audit issue. At the bottom of the drawer was a manila folder. My name written on it. Inside were notes, dates, descriptions of my episodes, claims of paranoia, fabricated conversations. A story built slowly, carefully, meant to destroy my credibility if I ever fought back. My own sister was building a case against my sanity. Ellie watched me quietly. She writes things after phone calls, she said, even when nothing bad happens. That was when I realized how long this had been happening. This wasn't desperation. This was planning. I took photos of everything. Every page. Every signature. Every email header. Then my phone rang. It was Marianne. I let it ring once, twice. Then I answered. My voice shook on purpose. Ruth, she said. Did you try the tea? Yes, I whispered. I feel awful, dizzy, sick. There was a pause, just long enough. Oh no, she said softly. You poor thing, rest. Don't worry about anything. She didn't ask about Ellie, didn't ask about a hospital, didn't offer to come home. She hung up satisfied. I looked at Ellie. She thinks she's winning, I said. Ellie's small hand slid into mine. She always does, she replied. That night, I made 3 calls. A nurse friend, a lawyer I trusted, and the bank. By morning, the accounts were frozen. By nightfall, my sister's perfect plan had started to collapse, and she still had no idea. For the next 2 days, I became exactly what my sister expected me to be. Weak. I texted Marianne. Updates from the couch short. Messages filled with apologies and gratitude. Still sick. Doctor says food poisoning. So embarrassed to ruin your trip. Ellie is fine. Mrs. Carter next door is helping. Every message earned a quick, polite reply. Never a call. Never concern. Just enough to seem human. Ellie watched quietly as I performed. She always smiles when people think she's in control, she whispered. On the 3rd day, my attorney called. Everything was ready. The lawyer my sister planned to meet had been informed. The bank had flagged every forged document. Child services had been alerted. All that remained was timing. Marianne thought she had 5 days. She only needed 4. That morning, I received a message. Meeting confirmed. Today at 10 a.m. everything will be finalized. She didn't realize she'd sent it to me instead of her husband. Ellie squeezed my hand. Is this when it ends? Yes, I said. This is when it ends. I didn't go anywhere. I sat in my sister's living room, holding Ellie close, watching a live video feed my attorney had arranged. Marianne walked into that office confident. Perfect hair, calm smile, papers neatly stacked. She didn't notice the two unfamiliar people sitting beside the lawyer. She didn't notice the tension in the room until the questions started. They asked about the trust, about the signatures, about the withdrawals. Marianne answered smoothly, too smoothly. Then they placed two signatures side by side. One real, one forged. Her smile faltered. She blamed stress. She blamed me. She mentioned my mental instability. That's when they played the recording. Ellie's voice filled the room, clear, steady, and afraid. I stopped talking because my mom told me Aunt Ruth would be hurt if I didn't. The room went silent. My sister's face drained of color. She can't speak, Marianne said desperately. She's never spoken. That's the problem, the detective replied. She could. And you made sure she didn't. Handcuffs came out. Marianne screamed, threatened, cried. None of it worked. Ellie didn't look away from the screen. That's the first time she's scared, she said. Yes, I replied softly. And it's the last time she gets to scare you. The courtroom was smaller than I expected. No drama, no shouting, just paperwork, hard chairs, and the weight of truth finally sitting where it belonged. Marianne didn't look powerful anymore. She looked tired, smaller, her perfect image gone. The judge reviewed everything: fraud, forgery, attempted poisoning, years of psychological abuse. Each word landed like a final nail. Then he turned to Ellie. Where do you feel safe? He asked gently. Ellie stood. 9 years old. Thin voice. Steady hands. With my Aunt Ruth, she said. She listened even when I couldn't talk. The judge nodded once and signed the order. Emergency custody granted. Just like that, 5 years of silence ended. Outside the courthouse, Ellie didn't stop talking. About birds, about school, about pancakes, about nothing and everything she'd been holding inside. That night, she slept in the spare room of my small apartment. Purple blanket, nightlight on. She slept through the night. Marianne accepted a plea deal. Prison time, financial restitution, no custody. I didn't attend sentencing. I was busy making pancakes. Ellie started therapy, slowly found her voice. Some days were hard, some days were loud. All of them were honest. The trust was restored. The money returned. But the real inheritance wasn't financial. It was peace. One quiet morning, Ellie looked at me and said, "Thank you for waiting for me to talk." I smiled. Thank you for speaking when it mattered. Sometimes revenge isn't loud. It doesn't scream. Sometimes it sounds like a child finally being heard. And that's more powerful than anything.